make a real-life Jurassic Park? I know that my title sounds flashy and improbable. However, there have been new studies that deem that it may be possible. Extinction has caused the biodiversity of our world to drop massively, and scientists say that the biodiversity of the world may drop by 27% in vertebrates by 2050. This is devastating, as I'm aware all of you know. However, this is not what I'm here to talk about. An institute in the United States named Colossal Laboratories and Biosciences, which I'll refer to as Colossal for the rest of my talk, has recently, or so it claims, brought back an extinct species of wolf called the dire wolf. Meet Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. Hands up if you've watched the Jurassic Park films. Lots of you. You all know the story, at least. Scientists bring back the dinosaurs, and they get loose and wreak havoc. However, a lesser-known fact about the Jurassic Park films is that they were brought back using their DNA found preserved in mosquitoes that were trapped in amber, as well as simply using their bones. However, since the DNA was so old, it had to be repaired, sometimes by adding DNA from other species to complete the code. Unlike this, Colossal has only just started the de-extinction journey, recreating animals that went extinct 10,000 years ago versus 65 million years ago. Colossal announced on the 8th of April that they had used both gene editing and cloning from 2 ancient samples of direwolf to bring back the 3 pups. The samples were from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull. Colossal said that it had compared the genomes of the grey wolf and identified 20 differences in 14 genes that account for the direwolf's distinguishing characteristics, such as greater size, white coat, wider head, larger teeth, more powerful shoulders, more muscular legs, and the characteristic vocalizations. They then harvested endothelial progenitor cells, which are the lining of the blood vessels from the bloodstreams of living grey wolves, as it's a less invasive process than taking a tissue biopsy or bone marrow extraction. There have been arguments across the world about the validity of the pups being called direwolves. However, I'll get into this later. The definition of species is a group of living organisms consisting of similar individuals capable of exchanging genes or interbreeding. It is the principal natural taxonomic unit ranking below a genus and is denoted by a Latin binomial. In the case of direwolves, their scientific name is Enochion dirus, which you might be able to tell is not similar to the Canis lupus of grey wolves, whom were used as the basis for the pups. However, unlike this, Colossus has classified the word using the morphological species concept, saying if they look like this animal, they are the animal. Colossus has also defined functional de-extinction. They've defined it as the process of generating an organism that both resembles and is genetically similar to an extinct species by resurrecting its lost lineage of core genes. This is what has been the standpoint for the argument. Although Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi look like direwolves, are they really able to be classified as such? Now, you may be wondering what direwolves are. Direwolves are a species of wolf that roamed the earth from around 2.4 million years ago till around 10,000 years ago. And they're the most common mammalian species to have been found preserved at the La Brea tar pits in Southern California. I've mentioned the characteristics of the direwolf previously, and I've mentioned the differences between a grey wolf and a direwolf. However, the main difference is the size. Direwolves could grow up to 178 centimeters, and they weighed around 59 to 68 kilograms, which is much greater than a regular grey wolf. However, when looking at the genome of the direwolf and comparing it to a grey wolf, it's shown that they're not very similar. And grey wolves are actually more similar to the jackal and the African wild dog than they are to the direwolves. Beth Shapiro of Colossal has claimed that they had used CRISPR technology to edit the genes. CRISPR stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. But what CRISPR actually is the process in which a bacterium fights a viral infection. Strips of DNA are inserted into bacterial DNA, and it provides a memory of attempted viral infections. These are the short palindromic repeats. The CRISPR-associated protein Cas9, which I have here, has been used to edit the genes, and this has been used in both agricultural aspects of life, as well as now in animal modification. Colossal has used this to change the 20 characteristics of the grey wolf DNA. However, they've said that 5 of the genes changed were solely for the white coat, not for any of the other characteristics. The true question is whether these animals are counted as direwolves or not, and if you can call this true de-extinction. Colossal has said that there are no plans of breeding as of yet, so we will not know if the direwolves are able to produce fertile offspring, which is a key component in the species definition. However, Colossal has announced other plans. They have planned to reintroduce woolly mammoths, which has led to a collection of woolly mice already, a thylacine, which was native to Tasmania and Australia, and the dodo bird. And they have said that they have planned for the woolly mammoth to be reintroduced by 2028, so I guess we'll see you then. I personally believe that direwolves may not be what they were 10,000 years ago. However, they are as close as they can be. I think that they're also quite similar to how in the Jurassic Park films, the dinosaurs were dinosaurs. And I think that counts as a direwolf, in my opinion. While there realistically won't be a recreation of the Jurassic Park, some extinct species in due course may be able to live in the wild with the native ecosystems. Thank you.